الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
لا إله إلا الله. جزاكم الله خيرا. لا إله. استغفر الله. استووا. الله أكبر. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك وتبارك اسمك. أعوذ بالله. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. والليل إذا يغشى والنهار إذا تجلى وما خلق الذكر والأنثى إن سعيكم لشتى فأما من أعطى واتقى وصدق بالحسنى فسنيسره لليسرى وأما من بخل واستغنى وكذب بالحسنى فسنيسره للعسرى وما يغني عنه ماله إذا تردى إن علينا للهدى وإن لنا للآخرة والأولى فأنذرتكم نارا تلظى لا يصلاها إلا الأشقى الذي كذب وتولى وسيجنبها الأتقى الذي يؤتي ماله يتزكى وما لأحد عنده من نعمة تجزى إلا ابتغاء وجه ربه الأعلى ولسوف يرضى. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. والتين والزيتون وطور سينين وهذا البلد الأمين لقد خلقنا الإنسان في أحسن تقويم ثم رددناه أسفل سافلين إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات فلهم أجر غير ممنون فما يكذبك بعد بالدين أليس الله بأحكم الحاكمين الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سمع الله لمن حمده الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر مالك يوم الدين الله أكبر سمع الله لمن حمده الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر السلام عليكم ورحمة الله السلام عليكم ورحمة الله الله أكبر الله
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. Inshallah, as it was announced earlier, tonight we have a special program with some very special guests. Alhamdulillah, we're very fortunate to have the Imams and scholars of Collin County here, the Collin County Masajid, here in the Plano Masjid tonight. So we have Imam Nadeem Bashir from Epic, Mufti Wasim Khan from Frisco, Imam Muhammad Al-Jibali from McKinney, and Imam Abdul Rahman Bashir from the Allen Masjid here tonight with us. And inshallah, we'll be having a panel discussion right after the Sunnah prayers. Inshallah, we'll begin. So please don't go anywhere. And as it was promised before, there will be some refreshments for adults as well as the young ones, inshallah ta'ala. So we'll begin the program right after the Sunnah prayers. Jazakumullah khairan.
السلام. It is fine. الحمد لله. طيب الحمد لله. يا رب الذي يبين كل أزواج. بسم الله أهلا وسهلا. يا رب.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، وأفضل الصلاة وأتم التسليم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم اجعل جمعنا هذا جمعا مرحوما، واجعل تفرقنا من بعده تفرقا معصوما، ولا تجعل فينا ولا منا شقيا ولا محروما برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. Welcome, brothers and sisters, to this very special program. Alhamdulillah, this is the first time that we are doing this program here in the Plano Masjid. As some of you already know, this is part of a series of programs that we've been doing around the Collin County Masajid, where scholars and imams of all 5 masajid in Collin County come together and discuss a topic that is relevant to the entire community. So alhamdulillah, we're very fortunate and blessed to have this gathering here in our masjid tonight. I know many of you are visiting from surrounding communities. You're always, of course, welcome. This is also your community and you're also part of us, alhamdulillah. Inshallah, I just have an announcement to make before we begin the program. And that is that you see this number in front of you on the wall. Inshallah, as the program continues, you're going to have an opportunity to ask questions from all the mashayikh. But the way that we're going to take questions is through text messages only. So in order for you to communicate with the mashayikh, you need to follow these instructions that are on the screen. Everybody take out your cell phone right now. This is the only time I'm going to tell you to take out your phone and turn it on in the masjid. Sorry, I stole your joke. Yes, inshallah. And send that message, Mecca DFW, to that number, 81010. Once you send that message, then you'll be able to receive updates about our future programs, inshallah, and also ask questions during tonight's program. If you experience any technical difficulties, just raise your hand and Brother Zishan will come and help you, inshallah ta'ala. But it should work for at least most of you, inshallah. So as the program continues, feel free to send your questions. I will receive them on my phone and then share them electronically with the rest of the mashayikh. If you see them using their phones during the program, they're not distracted. They're just reading your questions and preparing an answer when their turn comes, inshallah ta'ala. Inshallah, please try to make your questions relevant to tonight's topic. We will give priority to those questions that are related to tonight's topic. Once we finish those, then we will take general questions after that, inshallah ta'ala. So with that, let us begin. The theme for tonight is the spirit and the struggle, rethinking social activism. In our day and age, we see a pressing need for activism and work on the ground in various spheres, politically, socially, for economic justice, and so on. There is need for active work, not just locally, for our own community and other segments of the larger community who face different kinds of challenges, but also internationally. The sisters can't hear? Yes, they can. If you can hear, raise your hand, please. Speak up. You need to speak up. Okay. I'll try my best, inshallah. So as I was saying, there is a need for active work, not just locally for our own community and other segments of the larger community who face different kinds of challenges, but also internationally to address issues of concern on the world scene. At the same time, however, what we also see in our community is the emergence of a growing dichotomy between activism on the one hand and spirituality and religious practice on the other hand. And this gap is widening and deepening in many ways, which is unfortunate, because in order to have the most powerful effect, there has to be a unification between activism and spirituality. Our activism should be an activism that is deeply grounded within our spirituality. At the same time, our religious practice should also have an element of activism. Our religious practice should include a commitment to community work and a genuine concern for the people, not just individualized worship. This is the idea behind the title for tonight's program. We need both the spirit and the struggle. One without the other is incomplete and actually leads to harm. Trying to struggle without the spirit, without being grounded in a strong relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, without taking nourishment from the teachings of Islam, when seeking guidance and help in navigating difficult issues, that struggle is spiritless and soulless. In fact, that struggle is not effective because activists like that either fall into burnout or they take activism in extreme directions that does not even meet its original goals. For a healthy and robust activism, it has to be connected with spiritual guidance. This does not take away from activism. It makes it better. It makes activism more effective, more blessed, and more powerful. Having said that, our spirituality also needs to go beyond us. It has to be connected to a genuine concern for those who are around us, and our religious practice must include a commitment to doing work in the community with wisdom and with sincerity. So tonight, inshaAllah ta'ala, we hope to hear some insight from this perspective to nourish our activism and to make it healthy and robust. So I'd like to start out tonight's discussion, inshaAllah, by posing a question to Imam Abdul Rahman Bashir, who is representing the Islamic Association of Allen tonight. Sheikh Abdul Rahman, oftentimes activists are devoting their time and energy to addressing issues of injustice and oppression that naturally bring them up close and personal to people's suffering and pain. Sometimes it can become really overwhelming, and it feels like the work that we are doing is just a drop in the bucket in terms of what needs to be done to change things. How can we work around such feelings of depression and hopelessness that may come from seeing the condition of the global Muslim community and seeing suffering and hardship and so on?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillah wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah. First of all, Imam Arsalan and the administration over here at ICC, Jazakumullah khair for hosting this panel. in regards to social activism, and your question was how to deal with having to know what other people's pain and suffering. Well, there's no doubt about it that for those of us who are involved in social activism, and not just that, but for those of us who are involved in making a difference in someone else's life, because social activism falls under the umbrella of being an agent of change. So in being an agent of change, meaning you're trying to help someone else's situation, you're trying to help them get from bad to good, or at least from worse to bad, and then slowly work them on to good. In the course of that, there is no doubt that there is the human element that is involved. And the human element is interacting with one another and getting to know one another. A true effective activism in any field is when you are able to give some time and give some thought and give some ear and give some heart to the situation of whatever you are a proponent of. Whether you find yourself active on the front of the issue that happened with immigration, whether you find yourself active on certain social gender issues or socially relevant racial issues, whatever front you find yourself on, in order to be effective in that, you have to get a feel for what that other party or what that other person may be going through. You know, don't judge me until you walk a mile in my shoes. That's the saying. So, in order to be effective, you have no choice but to come across what other people are going through. Whether it's their stories, whether it's a secondhand story, or whether it's reading something in an article. And no doubt, when you come across this on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, it takes a toll on your own self. Right? When we meet people on a daily basis and I say, hey, Assalamu alaikum, how are you? By default, the expectation is for you to say, I am fine, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Yes, me too, thank you very much, see you next time. But when you actually are caring for someone, and the answer comes, hey, how are you? Oh, brother, just make dua. Right? Or, you know, what can I tell you? Where can I get started? So if you feel yourself cringing at that point that, oh, you know what, I rattled the wrong cage, then social activism is not cut out for you. Because it's a lot about listening, it's a lot about feeling, it's a lot about letting other people's situation have an effect on you. And this is what the Prophet ﷺ reflects to us when the Prophet ﷺ gives the example of an ummah, right? المؤمنون في توادهم وتراحمهم كمثل الجسد الواحد إن اشتكى منه عضو تداعى له سائر الجسد بالسهر والحمى. That if any part of the ummah is feeling the pain, then you're definitely feeling the burn. So that's how it works. And now, to answer the second part of the question, how can a person feel like they are making a difference in a world that so much is going on? SubhanAllah, I mean, the access to information that we have right now as individuals, as an ummah, is unprecedented. Something can happen anywhere in the world and the entire globe can find out about it in a matter of seconds, in a matter of minutes, if not a couple of hours. SubhanAllah. And the loss of life, whether it's weather related, whether it's political, whether it's poverty, whether it's war, whatever it may be, there is a lot of blood that is being shed. There's a lot of tears that are being shed. There is a lot of sweat. All types of stuff going on in the world. And naturally, it becomes very overwhelming. How do you process all of these things? Things going on overseas with our brothers and sisters, then things, natural disasters over here, floods going on over here. How do you keep up with everything? And then when you see all of these things, it makes you feel like that, you know what, my little effort over here, whatever I'm doing over here, how is that going to make a difference? Well, the thing is, we are not obligated as an individual to change the entire world, and neither is it possible. This is why we have a concept of ummah. This is why there is a concept of ummah. And our survival and our strength is in feeding off of each other's iman and feeding off of each other's spiritual power. This is what makes us an ummah. So, when you want to change an ummah, when you want to bring a change in ummah, you have to start on an individual level. And as a word of advice for people who are involved in being an activist, that change comes with the man or the sister in the mirror. You have to be the change that you want to see in the entire world. And then once you bring about a change in yourself and in your heart through spirituality, then you start extending that. Then you start extending that to others. And your yaqeen and iman is that me bringing about a change in one person's life, or just hearing them out, or just being a voice for the voiceless, its ripple effect happens worldwide. We may not see it now, we might not see it ever, but definitely on the Day of Judgment, we see these things, and we will see these things, inshallah. So it takes a big heart. The Prophet ﷺ, one of his staple ahadith when entering Medina is Afshu salam wa at'imu ta'am wasilul arham. Spread peace, spread peace. Now, under the umbrella of spreading peace comes social activism, where you want to spread peace, where you want oppression, and you want oppression, solved, where you want people to get their rights, where you want everyone to be in a peaceful situation. Afshu salam wa at'imu ta'am, break bread. Right? Take the conversation from assalamu alaikum to a cup of coffee, to breaking bread with another. Wasilul arham, and strengthen the ties you have to your family. Helping others and being a voice for others should not come at the cost of stampeding over one's family and stampeding over one's relatives. And then you can do all the work in the world, but at the end of the day, literally, wasallu bil layli وَالنَّاسُ نِيَامٌ. Pray at night while people are sleeping. This is a very important component to how an activist stays strong in the face of people's problems and stays strong in the face of all of the things that are happening around on a global level. صَلُّوا بِاللَّيْلِ وَالنَّاسُ نِيَامٌ. To establish that relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to understand that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who is going to give me the strength to overcome all of these things that are overwhelming me, that are going on throughout the world. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who is going to give me the quwwah. He is the one who is going to fortify my faith, fortify my iman, so that, you know what, I can take things on as someone who cares, or someone who wants to be an agent of change. So spirituality, as Imam Arsalan said, that activism, when joined with spirituality, it makes the activism, it takes it to the next level. These aren't two things that are that can be separated from one another. Spirituality should not be limited to oneself. It should be a part of Amr bil Ma'ruf and Nahi Anil Munkar is activism. And at the same time, that Amr bil Ma'ruf and Nahi Anil Munkar should be driven by one's own ta'alluq and relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Jazakallah khairan, Shaykh Abdul Rahman. I have a slightly different question for Imam Nadeem. So Shaykh Nadeem is representing the East Plano Islamic Center. He's the Imam of the Epic Masjid, the Epic Imam, mashallah. Sheikh, we often hear from Imams and scholars that there is a need for more Islamic literacy in the field of activism. What are some principles of Islamic work, maybe that you have learned in your study of Islam or through some of your teachers, that you feel are really lacking in the world of Muslim activism today?
Can I add 30 seconds to him? Yes? Sheikh Arsalan asked Imam Abdul Rahman that, part of his question was that in the grand scale of things, the efforts that we do may seem like a drop compared to what the need is. Right? We hear about the orphan crisis, over 150 million orphans around the world, millions and millions in Syria, Iraq, and everywhere else. And then someone comes and tells you that, sponsor an orphan, or we have to take care of these situations, we have to make a dent, make a difference. And you think to yourself, no matter, even if every single individual in this room was to take 10 orphans or 50 orphans, we still would not cause a dent in the grand number of things. So you feel deterred that why should I do something when in the grand scale of things it won't make a difference? I want to share one Arabic poem with you. And then I want you to reflect on history, on any accomplishment, anything that was built throughout history. Hear the poem, then reflect while Imam Nadim answers. The Arabic poem is قطر على قطر إذا اتفقت نهرا قطر على قطر إذا اتفقت نهرا نهر إلى نهر إذا اجتمعت بحرا. Drop upon drop, when they collect, becomes a puddle. Puddle upon puddle connects, becomes a lake. Lake upon lake connects, becomes a river. River upon river connects, becomes an ocean. Every ocean began with one drop. Every mountain began with one stone. Rome wasn't built in a day. Every great action, every great problem was solved by one individual standing up.
Takbir. So, Jazakallah khair, Sheikh Wasim. So, let me just repeat the question real quick. So, Sheikh Nadim, what are some principles of Islamic work you feel are lacking in the world of Muslim activism today?
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسوله محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين وسلم تسليما كثيرا كثيرا ما بعد سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت عليم حكيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي أما بعد. So the very first thing is that there are in every single community there are people who are active, they are engaged, and there are people in the community, unfortunately, who are just completely disconnected and oblivious of everything that is taking place. Oblivious in the sense that they may know what's going on, and they just don't feel like that they are part of it, or they are obligated to do anything about it. And what I've learned through my teachers and so forth is that when it comes to making a change, like we see in the seerah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it was not only just few Sahaba radiallahu anhum who came together and decided to make a change, but it was all the Sahaba who joined together and they collectively decided to make a change, and they decided to make the problems or the issues that they are facing their problems. I think what the problem is today that we have in our society is that we have not made the problems that we see going on around us our problem. See, if there's a leakage in your house, you're going to feel obligated that this is my house and I have to fix this issue. If there's a leakage in someone else's house, you don't care whether that's that person's problem, let them fix it. Today, when we look at our problems, we say this is their problem. This is not my problem. And the only way we can make a change is when we say that this problem is our problem. Today, we stay quiet, and when there is an incident where a Muslim becomes a victim, at that time we feel like it is sufficient to simply share it on WhatsApp or to share on Facebook, and we think that we have fulfilled our obligation. That's not fulfilling our obligation. At the same time, there are many of us who believe that, Habibi, brother, I have my own issues in my life. There are other things that I have to worry about. But if we don't realize that the problems that are taking place in our society are our problems, then when the problem actually shows up at your doorstep, it might be too late. When the Muslims migrated to Habasha, there was a time in Habasha where the Najashi was opposed by someone else. And this was a person who was not really in favor of keeping these people there. He was not in favor of keeping the Muslims there. And in essence, he wanted to probably create a travel ban. So what this person did was, the Najashi, he called the Muslims over and he said that, look, we're about to go to war. because there's someone who wants to remove me from my position. And if I lose this battle, I want you to understand that there's a ship over here that you can embark on the ship and go back to where you came from so that you do not become subjected to oppression in this land. But if I win, then you can stay here with peace. The Muslims there did not say that, you know what, this is not our problem. Every single day, these people would go out. There were few Sahaba amongst that group. They would go out and inquire about what is going on in the battlefield. And they would come and report it to the Muslims. They made their problem, the problem of the Najashi, their problem. And they were in tune, they were connected. And that is something that we don't realize today. There are people in our community who feel like that there are other people who are doing it. That's fine. When you study the seerah of the Prophet ﷺ, in the battle of trenches, was it some Sahaba who just went home and there was some Sahaba digging the trench? It was all the Sahaba in unison digging up the trench, and they were able to achieve something great. So this is why I say that we need to really understand that the problems going on in our society are our problems. They may not be directly associated with us today, but they are truly our problems. And keeping in mind that if we stay silent today, then there are people who stay silent, there are people who don't do anything. We are no different then. And Dr. Martin Luther King, he said that in the end, we will remember not the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends. And that's something really to keep in mind. The second thing I will share, going back to the aspect of the question where it talks about literacy, I think that many of us growing up here, especially the youth and so forth, we have high ambitions and we have a great drive in helping out the cause of not just Muslims. First of all, we need to understand that if we help out everyone. When Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam during Hilful Fudul, when he stood up for that man, it was not because he was a Muslim, he was a human being whose rights were being violated. So we need to have that concept of humanity first within us. A lot of us, we are unfortunately very, very selfish. If it comes to a non-Muslim or someone from another faith who needs help, we always take a step back. If it's a Muslim, we always come forward. That's a very selfish mentality. But coming back to the literacy part, I think that many of us, we have a great drive. We want to help out so much. But at the same time, the problem is that many of us, because our efforts are not collaborated, we're all over the place. We're all over the place. Someone is doing something, someone is doing something. So imagine this. Imagine there are 15 areas of social activism, just hypothetically speaking. There are 15 areas of social activism. If our efforts are collaborated, we can address all 15 areas. If our efforts are not collaborated, then probably majority of us will be focusing on some, and we'll be thinking that we're doing a great job. And yes, we're doing a great job, but there are some key areas that are going to be neglected. And so that's why I feel like it's very, very important that before getting involved, we need to truly educate ourselves and choose one particular area. Look, there are people in our community who focus in one area and they have truly made a difference in that area. If we are going to be all scattered, then we won't be able to achieve anything. But if you can, first of all, educate yourself, see what suits you. And as Imam Abdul Rahman Bashir said, we all may not be cut out to give da'wah. We may all not be cut out to stand in front of the news and stand in front of the cameras and speak. But each one of us, alhamdulillah, has been given a certain talent by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we can help in social activism. In some way and in some capacity. And it's not about coming in front of others. It's not about getting recognition. As long as you get recognition by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that's all that matters. Forget about the makhluk of Allah, as long as Allah is happy with you and Allah is happy with us. So it's important that first we educate ourselves, choose a certain area, find your niche, and then excel in that area. And finally, the last thing I would say is that, going back to what Imam Abdul Rahman was talking about, the spirituality, the Prophet ﷺ and all the Anbiya, during the day they would give da'wah, during the night they would pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the only way their da'wah would have been effective is when they would stand before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that's why it's very important to pair both of these up together in order to make our da'wah successful and efficient. We as a Muslim community are standing up against resources, financial resources that we cannot even come close to. So we need a resource that can topple all those resources, and that resource is the resource of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The only way we can get to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is by connecting with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Jazakumullah khair.
Jazakumullah khairan, Sheikh Nadeem. The next question I have is for Sheikh Jibali. Sheikh Jibali, we know the importance of community in Islam and the importance of sticking with the Jama'ah. However, it can be frustrating sometimes when someone is working hard to improve things in their community, but they continue to meet resistance, or they see little interest to change. So how can a person avoid feeling negative, feeling disillusioned, cynical, or frustration when dealing with these challenges and these failings in the Muslim community?
Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Because of the time, I will make it short. So we always say in Arabic, بِالْمِثَالِ يَتَّضِحُ الْمَقَالِ. So when we give examples, I think we will find a good answer for this. Sometimes we shouldn't look at what we achieved, but we should look at the results, but we should look at what we should do. So imagine the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam had his uncle Abu Talib, and Abu Talib did a good job to serve the da'wah, and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam suffered after his death. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam wanted to change the situation with his uncle. Say La ilaha illallah, and I will just use this to make shafa'ah in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But he insisted not to say it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blamed the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Says, لَعَلَّكَ بَاخِعٌ نَفْسَكَ أَلَّا يَكُونُوا مُؤْمِنِينَ. Oh Muhammad, you want to change the condition. You want to reform. You want to change the society. But it's not your job. You do what is required from you. And also in the hadith of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the best of human beings, the prophets and the messengers. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, in the day of judgment, some of the prophets, some of the messengers, they come with little followers. They did their job. They did what is required from them to do. But subhanallah, the results are in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So sometimes the people suffer a lot to change, but they don't find the people and the recipients working hard or receiving the advices in the way that they are expecting from them to do. And at the same time, they feel that they are not interested anymore. So first of all, we always say, كِلْتَا طَرَفَيِ الْأَمْرِ مَذْمُومٍ. The two extremes are not accepted and are not from Islam. You do your best as a reformer, as a person who struggles to change the condition of people and change the society. But at the same time, nothing is secured. You should accept the results and you should try to focus on your intention. And the message that we always have for the recipients, the people whom people address them and tell them, try to change yourselves. Try to be a better Muslim. Try to follow this way instead of this mistake that you are doing. One reminder and one attentive way of listening to a reminder can change your life. This is something that is really important. We shouldn't close our ears and think that we should not change. We are okay. We are, as long as we are in the masjid, our kids come to the masjid, we are the best. No. Everyone is in need to get closer to Allah. Everyone needs to change himself. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala appointed our fellow Muslim brothers and sisters as mirrors. The mirror doesn't show, your good things. You look at the mirror to see if there is something bad that you want to change. So your brothers and sisters, they are like the mirrors. They tell you, do this, do this. We want you to follow the way that pleases Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We need you to be an effective person in the community. So those are some of the reminders for the da'is, the teachers, the volunteers who work hard and they felt frustrated because they don't have any change. And Brother Wasim started it, and I'm going to, inshallah, follow his way. I have just some poetry, inshallah, in a couple of minutes that is teaching us one of the best and masterpieces for a poet who is talking about positivity and how to be productive and how to learn from others, even if we learn from young kids who have better concepts and who have better understanding. But this poetry and this 5 or 6 verses of poetry talking about a man who's searching for the power that proves the existence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then Allah will send him a child to prove this. سعى ليدرك كنه الله خالقه فأوغل السيل في سهل وفي جبل حتى إذا لم ينل من بحثه أملا وأوشك العقل أن يختل من كلل رأى غلاما بشط البحر مجتهدا في حفر بئر بلا يأس ولا ملل قال ويحك ماذا تبتغي فأنصت له في ثقة كبرى وفي أمل قال إني أريد البحر أنقله لهذا البئر هلا ساعدت في عملي قال ويحك هذا البحر تنقله لهذه البئر هذا منتهى الخبر قال حسبك يا من جئت ترشدني لقد تماديت في نصحي وفي جدلي أأنت أكبر أم رب الوجود مدى حتى ترى نقله في عقلك الثمل. So the man went up hills and down hills, searching for any proof for the existence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Finally he found a child, and this child is digging a well and a hole beside a sea. So he said to him, what are you doing? He says, I want to transfer the water of the sea to this well. So he said to him, are you insane? How come you transfer the sea to the water, to the well here? The water of the sea to the well here. He says, you know, I thought that you are coming to help me. But I want to tell you, you are an old man and I'm a child, but I want to advise you that Allah is able to do everything, even if you cannot imagine by your narrow mind. Jazakumullah khairan wa barakallah.
Jazakumullah khairan, Sheikh Jibali. Next question for Sheikh Wasim, but I just want to remind the Mashayikh, I've sent you some of the questions that the audience has asked, so if you can just check the WhatsApp group. Jazakumullah khair. So, Sheikh Wasim, as Muslims, how can activists navigate issues and work that may be controversial or that seem to run contrary to Islamic principles, but with people that have good intentions or that is done with praiseworthy goals in mind?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. To carry on with Sheikh Jibali, I think I'll begin off with another poem. But I'll give the audience a choice. Urdu or Arabic? Arabic? Okay. He did Arabic, so I'll do an Urdu. Then he'll do another Arabic one. Does that feel fair? Urdu? Okay. Jab teer laga tha, to itna darad na hua ghalib. Jab teer laga tha, to itna darad na hua ghalib. Zakham ka ihsas tab hua, jab kaman dekhi apnon ke haath mein. The poet says that when the arrow was shot, and I was struck by the arrow, jab teer laga tha, when the arrow struck me, I didn't feel the pain. It didn't hurt as much. But when I turned around and I saw that the bow was in the hand of my own friends, that seeing the bow in their hand was more painful than the arrow striking me. Okay. The second thing, before I answer the question, is how many people have been to a Makkah event before? One of these events. Raise your hand high. Okay, that means that at least 70% of you have not been to it. So my estimation of the crowd is about 400 people, men and women, right? The men I'm guessing is about 252 roughly, and the women I'm just doing Iman bil Ghaib. And only about 60 people have signed up. So that means that if you haven't signed up to get the updates, if you don't have a question, that's fine, but at least you'll get the updates of our future events. So please, if you haven't signed up yet, pull out your phones and sign up. To answer Sheikh Arsalan's question, when you're engaged in da'wah activities, you'll always come across certain activities, certain initiatives where you think to yourself that, am I doing this out of being innovative and it will be more progressive for the deen? Or am I dismantling the very essence of the deen? Which route am I taking? This action, this event, this project that I'm doing, is it going to be something that is innovative? Something that is going to progress the ideals of Islam? Or is it going to be detrimental? Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he prophesied the path of this ummah. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, famous hadith, لَتَتَّبِعُنَّ سُنَّنَ مَنْ كَانَ قَبْلَكُمْ, that you will follow the ways of those before you. هَدْوَ النَّعْلِ بِالنَّعْلِ شِبْرًا بِشِبْرٍ, footstep by footstep, you will follow in their footsteps. And you will do what everyone else has done before you. And the Sahaba radwanullahi alayhim ajma'in asked the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, what is he alluding towards? What took place in the nations before us? Well, we reflect upon the nations before us, the Ahlul Kitab before us, those with scriptures before us. Why did the Quran come? What was the purpose that the Quran was revealed? We still believe in the Bible and the Torah and the Injil and the Zabur. We still believe in there. But if someone brings today's Bible in front of us, you'll say, I don't believe in this. Why? I want to hear from you guys. Why? It's changed. Now, how many changes occurred in the Bible? How many types of changes occurred in the Bible? 12? How many types? 2. There were 2 types of changes that occurred in the Bible and the scriptures of the past. In Arabic, you say tahrif al-lughwi wa tahrif al-ma'nawi. You had the literal changes where they changed the passage. But they did that very later. The tahrif al-lughwi, where they altered the Quran in its the previous scriptures by altering the words, this came very later. The first thing they did was tahrif al-ma'nawi. They first said, well, you know what? This passage doesn't mean this. Their interpretation is outdated. It doesn't hold the same philosophy. So the first thing they did was tahrif al-ma'nawi. And just the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forbids the alteration of the literal and the physical scripture of any text, Allah forbids the alteration and the manipulation of the meaning of any scripture as well. That's number 1. So now we've understood that through our path of getting this deen, the Prophet ﷺ said, you are definitely going to follow the people before you, and there is going to be a time when you will alter the message and alter the meaning of this message. Now, keeping that hadith in mind, there is another hadith of Abdullah bin Mas'ud radiallahu anhu. He says, Man kana mustannan. Every one of you wants to do something, right? Everyone wants to adopt a way. I want to promote the deen. I want to promote my lifestyle. I want to do something. Every one of us has a way to do it. And every one of us is going to either innovate our own approach, or we're going to follow someone else's approach. Ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu says, if you are planning to do any endeavor, and let's particularly talk about a dini Islamic endeavor. He says, Man kana mustannan falyastan biman qad mat. He said, follow the way. If you want to follow a direction, follow the direction of those who are under the ground. فَإِنَّ الْحَيْ لَا تُؤْمَنْ عَلَيْهِ الْفِتْنَةِ. He says, for the living ones, we don't know which situation they will live in and which situation they will die in. So you may see an individual, and it may seem at that current moment that the reflection and the activity of deen that they are doing is in the prime perspective. But we don't know what their ending will be. But we do know the ending of those who have already passed on, i.e. the Sahaba radwanullahi alayhim ajma'in. Follow their perspectives, follow their path. Secondly, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran tells us, when He talks about Sirat al-Mustaqim, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about that there are different paths. And then He tells us what? Ihdina Sirat al-Mustaqim. The route that Allah that you want us to be on. غَيْرِ الْمَغْضُوبِ عَلَيْهِمْ وَلَا الضَّالِينَ. Not the route of those that will bring your anger and that will bring your upset. And that will bring your wrath. Lastly, another argument comes. Well, you are saying that this method is not the ideal Islamic perspective method, but we had 500 people come out to the event. We had a nice halal dating mixer, and we had 500 people come out, and it was a great event. There were so many Muslims, and it was so great, so much brotherhood, so much sisterhood. And the Prophet ﷺ in another hadith says what? And this is a hadith that I think as imams we reflect on very often. I know I reflect on it very, very often, and it reminds me. When anyone comes to me and says, Mufti Sahab, great lecture, this, that, I just say this hadith in my mind, and I reflect on it. And the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ is, إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَيُؤَيِّدُ هَذَا الدِّينِ بِرَجُلِ الْفَاجِرِ. That at times, Allah strengthens this deen with even an individual that is despised by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He used Fir'aun to bring all of Bani Israel to the Colosseum to listen to Musa alayhi salam's message. And I'll end off with this, keeping the tradition intact. The way the Prophet brought it down to us, and subsequently it goes down through the generation to the Imams that are here today. To keep that tradition together. Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, when he had his khilafah, he had the choice. He had the choice of ignoring the people who didn't give zakat. It was not even the first pillar. It wasn't the second pillar. It was either third or fourth pillar of Islam. He could have been like, 2.5. We could worry about this later. We're going through a devastating moment. He said, Wallahi, if they didn't even give me a rope that they used to give in the time of Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, I will take the armies of Medina and bring it at their gates. Because preservation of the deen is utmost important. And to do things on the manhaj of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Jazakumullah khairan, Sheikh Wasim. So, inshallah ta'ala, we have a few minutes until Isha. And some of you have already been sending your questions to us. So I'm just going to let the mashayikh choose the question that they would like to answer. And they can just go ahead and begin, inshallah ta'ala.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. One of the questions that was put forward is, when the agenda of an activist or activists goes against the teachings of Islam, how do we bring it to light respectfully in order to correct the agenda? And if there is retaliation from the group, what do we do? So, for those of us who may see something that needs attention, whether it comes from someone involved in social activism, whether it's someone in the limelight, or whether it's someone who is volunteering around the masjid, just for a general understanding of it. So the question is, if there is something that is against the teachings of Islam, how do we bring it to light respectfully in order to correct the agenda? My response to that would be, for someone who sees something that needs attention and they would like to correct it, let not your mouth open to correct somebody only. You understand what I mean? A lot of times, look, we're human beings, and regardless of a person's experience, regardless of a person's knowledge or practice, we're bound to make mistakes, right? Whether it's volunteers or whether it's someone if it's that person's responsibility. If we want to correct something, if we feel the need to correct something that's being wrong, then don't start off by correcting someone. If you want to be an agent of change for someone who is an agent of change and you see something wrong, don't let correcting other people be the only time that you talk and address these people. A lot of people in our community are giving a lot of time, spending a lot of hours, giving a lot of sweat, blood, and tears for our organizations, for other causes. If the only thing that I am going to, as a spectator, come and address you is, hey, with all due respect, By the way, that phrase, with all due respect, usually is followed by something that is very disrespectful. Okay? So I don't like to hear the word with all. When I hear with all due respect, I was like, oh, here we go again. Someone's about to take a jab at somebody. So, learn to compliment people as well. We always have this lens of wanting to rectify and correct other people. We want to be the halal or the haram police. Right? But what about complimenting someone on something that they have done that, out of 50 things that were done, one thing was against the teachings of Islam, and that's the only single thing that you have made it a mission in your life to amplify and bring to everyone's attention that, oh my God, look at what this person said, look at what this person is doing. Even if you want to address it in a respectful way, if I see you do something wrong, let that not be the only thing that we talk about. Hey, mashallah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you for this, bless you for that. We have this attitude of just wanting to correct everyone. Now, what do you do if it retaliates? I think that's a question on the way you address something. Because every single person, if addressed in a very civil manner, in a way, this is the difference between the prophets, the Sahaba, and those who were true to their faith and the rest, that they had this sifa of compassion even in their indar, right? Even in their warning their people, there was this not underlying tone. There was this straightforward screaming out right at you that I'm saying this because I love you, because I care for you. And this is what this is how the prophets conducted themselves. They let the other person know that, you know what, you're out, you're saying this, you have my back, not you're behind my back. So when it comes to correcting someone who may be doing something wrong, stop for a second and think to yourself that, have I ever approached this person to compliment them on something positive they did? If you started that way and you build a relationship, if you're really sincere about being an agent of change, when you build a relationship with somebody, then that opens the door and window for you to respectfully try to correct or rectify something that needs rectification. So if you know what I mean. So that is the first thing. Don't always listen to people or keep an eye on people for the sake of criticizing them or for the sake of catching their first mistake and then beating drums about it. So let's be real with one another. We are human beings. We all make mistakes. One rule that we should live by in our lives: don't look down on somebody else because they sin differently than you. Don't look down on somebody because they sin differently than you. We're all sinners. We know that. We are told that. We realize that, and we ask Allah to forgive us for that.
Sheikh Nadeem, can you take a question, please, inshallah?
So one question that comes up is that we speak of activism and go out and fighting these numerous issues at the national and global levels. However, within our own communities, there are cultural issues that plague us. Within our own masajid, our cultures clash, and we hold prejudices against our own Muslim brothers and sisters. We drive away others. We drive others away by our comments, glances, and actions and inactions. What can we do as youth and adults to push towards changing this within our own communities? This has actually been a very big problem within all of our communities, and I think that, just to save time right now and quickly answer this, I will say this, that there are more people who don't do work, and there are more people who complain than people who do work. Now, I'm not saying that the people who are doing work are always going to be perfect. So what we need to understand is that, first of all, if we're not doing the work, we need to be involved. Okay? A lot of times we stand on the outside and we object to the people on the inside. If you really want to make a change, the best way is to come on the inside and then make a change within. So I would say this, that we will always differ with each other. We'll always differ with each other. But at the same time, we need to find a way to, if you differ with someone, that's fine. But see, what we do is that we always take our differences to a whole new level. I differ with someone So then what I do is that I discount everything that this person has done. I discount and I criticize the organization that they are affiliated with, and then I will clearly go against that organization. I will not donate anything to that organization. And so I ask you, and I ask myself, that who are we to judge? This is the biggest problem that we have. Yes, if there is one person, this brother or sister that they do, which is probably not right, fine. Ignore that part. But as Imam Abdul Rahman Bashir said, that focus on the other good that they have done. Ignore that one wrong thing, but we hold on to that one thing, and then we sort of demean everything that they have done. So I think it's really, really important that we keep our hearts united as much as we can. We cannot really combat all the issues. We get involved, and then we start fighting so much internally that the people who are dealing with the issues, they go far ahead, and we're still dealing with our own issues. And we're still fighting amongst ourselves. So we need to become mature. And, one thing I truly believe that our Muslim communities, we don't do a good job of, is that we don't know how to communicate with each other. We don't know how to understand each other. We don't know how to feel for each other. We don't know how to even if there's a conflict, we don't know how to deal with our own conflicts. So we need to become mature, first of all, as a Muslim community, and look at the grand scheme of things. Look at the bigger picture. And once again, if there's a person who's doing something wrong, they might be doing something haram. Leave that between them and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and make dua for them. Make dua for them. And inshallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one He's the one who's in control of that person's heart. Inshallah, He will change that person's heart. You cannot change the heart.
So, just give me a second.
Want to hear another poem? Yeah, Urdu or Arabic? Arabic? What did he say? Spanish? MashaAllah. If I have to be very honest, I did not pass Spanish in school. If I have to be very honest. Are we good?
So, it's almost time for Isha. It's 9:55. So we still have a few questions actually related to the topic that we didn't get to. And I'm sure many of you have questions that are not related to the topic, but you would like to ask. We've already received some of those as well. So what we're going to do, inshallah, we're going to stop right now. We're going to call Adhan and pray Isha. And after Isha, we will resume for a little bit, inshallah. We'll answer any questions that you have. You can continue to text them using this app, inshallah. And then, we'll have refreshments after that. Jazakumullah khairan.
You want to move this, or you can just leave this and then pray here?
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله. Inshallah, we'll pray Sunnah first, inshallah. So I want all the brothers to move back 2 rows, please. Move back 2 rows. Please, all the brothers, move back 2 rows. Because we're going to have the Imam here, and the first saf is going to be right here. So that's the first saf right there.
هؤلاء العجائز الشيوخ هل لهم أن يصطفوا على نفس الخط؟ هؤلاء الشيوخ هل لهم أن يصطفوا على نفس الخط؟ They can line up here.
We have a space issue in the back. Do you need more space? We're okay? Because we can move up if there's a need. Do we need to move up? It's fine. It's fine.
حدش أقام الصلاة؟ حدش أقام الصلاة بالإذن الإقامة؟
الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح. قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
لا إله إلا الله. استقيموا الصوت رأسات اليوم. الله أكبر. سبحان الله. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. ليس على الضعفاء ولا على المرضى ولا على الذين لا يجدون ما ينفقون حرج إذا نصحوا لله ورسوله ما على المحسنين من سبيل والله غفور رحيم. ولا على الذين إذا ما أتوك لتحملهم قلت لا أجد ما أحملكم عليه تولوا وأعينهم تفيض من الدمع حزنا ألا يجدوا ما ينفقون. إنما السبيل على الذين يستأذنونك وهم أغنياء رضوا بأن يكونوا مع الخوالف وطبع الله على قلوبهم فهم لا يعلمون. يعتذرون إليكم إذا رجعتم إليهم قل لا تعتذروا لن نؤمن لكم قد نبأنا الله من أخباركم وسيرى الله عملكم ورسوله ثم تردون إلى عالم الغيب والشهادة فينبئكم بما كنتم تعملون. سيحلفون بالله لكم إذا انقلبتم إليهم لتعرضوا عنهم فأعرضوا عنهم إنهم رجس
ومأواهم جهنم جزاء بما كانوا يكسبون يحلفون لكم لترضوا عنهم فإن ترضوا عنهم فإن الله لا يرضى عن القوم الفاسقين. الله أكبر. سبحان الله. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. سبحان الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. الأعراب أشد كفرا ونفاقا وأجدر ألا يعلموا حدود ما أنزل الله على رسوله والله عليم حكيم. ومن الأعراب من يتخذ ما ينفق مغرما ويتربص بكم الدوائر عليهم دائرة السوء والله سميع عليم. ومن الأعراب من يؤمن بالله واليوم الآخر ويتخذ ما ينفق قربات عند الله وصلوات الرسول ألا إنها قربة لهم سيدخلهم الله في رحمته إن الله غفور رحيم. والسابقون الأولون من المهاجرين والأنصار والذين اتبعوهم بإحسان رضي الله عنهم ورضوا عنه وأعد لهم جنات تجري تحتها الأنهار خالدين فيها أبدا ذلك الفوز العظيم. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر.
الحمد لله رب العالمين.
الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله